Hi everybody, this is Brian Kuh with another ROK video, bringing you the very first fighting that we had in what will turn out to be a hard-fought, closely contested Heroic Anthem KvK. We are up against Fire Camp here, which is led by Kingdom 2885, a kingdom that has not lost a KvK in over 2 years. We entered Zone 5 feeling like we were the underdogs in this fight, but because of our excellent start, we will end up winning this Zone 5. I'm going to show you the key steps and the key moments of the first couple of hours in this zone and what we were able to do to give ourselves a very good advantage against a camp that had more kill points and was more respected than we were. You can see that we are just about 20-30 minutes into this zone opening here, and we are flagging very quickly to our fort. This is the key to the zone. It's as simple as flagging faster than your opponent. You slow down their build and you keep your own build very quick. This was a situation where we had a player, a longtime friend of mine, Sabelli. She was in charge of the build team. I was doing some of the war leading, and I didn't have any clue whether she had put together a good team or not. As it turned out, she had a very active team who knew how to jump into flags very quickly. So we built our flags super quick, while Fire Camp, they built their main line of flags much slower than we did. They likely had a similar situation where someone was in charge of the build team and maybe they just slacked off on getting people to do it, because we gave ourselves a very big advantage here. As you can see, our two forts are right next to each other. They're touching each other. The enemy did put their fort where we really wanted to put our HDS fort. We had to adjust slightly, I think, where the fort was going to be. And you see that we are actually building an entire fort wall here across this zone. What we felt like was going to happen was that we would be the underdogs and that the enemy would pressure us quite a bit. We did not want to let them flank us, and we thought that the edge we would have here is just to play defense and hopefully drain them more than they drained us. The zone did play out differently because we got this nice advantage early on where we were flagging faster and our cities were teleported much closer to this super important area around the sanctuary. We were able to, ultimately we're going to burn down their forts and our forts will stay up. Now, the thing I want to point out here is that a lot of players can make very good individual decisions to influence how this start of a Zone 5 goes. We had players harassing their main flag line. You can see a couple of those players here, Goody and Autobot. Autobot was our number 2 fighter in this entire KvK. A top fighter for Fire Camp, Only Farmer. She was streaming this zone opening, and you can see what a single player can do to influence how things turn out. Only Farmer was escorting or protecting people trying to enter the next flag on this GP57 line. This is the flag line to the south. This is not their main flag line, but she was here fighting off our players that were harassing the flag builders. And I think probably at the same time, she was also jumping on her farms and filling some flags with her farms. One of the things that's interesting about this Heroic Anthem KvK, where the camps are very small, there's one A kingdom and one B kingdom in each camp. And so a lot of players, myself included, we found ourselves having much more of an impact on this KvK than we had had in a very long time. A lot of times you're in camps with multiple A kingdoms and there's leaders from all the different A kingdoms. They're all wanting to make decisions. And a lot of times a player like myself, I just take a back seat. I let other people run the show and I just, lead my alliance basically. But here, people were having a really big impact. And so players like Only Farmer, she was able to use her main account and also fill from farms at the same time. Her teammate Taki, I think, was doing something very similar. I was doing something very similar on our side, where people are using multiple accounts and really, really impacting how this KvK played out. I am going to go through a lot of key moments in this Heroic Anthem KvK and really give you all a bit of a blueprint for how you as a war lead can potentially impact a close war like this and maybe come out on top. That remains to be seen. We've got a long way to go. But you see here that Only Farmer has dealt with our harassers and is giving her players a clean shot at these new flags. Similar things happening here where the enemy is trying to block our flag line, but honestly, I think we've probably already filled up these flags. And the disadvantage that Fire Camp had throughout this start of the zone is that we were teleported much closer to the fights than they were. Fire Camp over the course of the whole, and look down here, look at the south where there's these two forts down here at the bottom. We were doing much better in the middle, but they are gonna, with Only Farmer's work, they are gonna end up doing better on the top. Overall in this KvK, Fire Camp did have more kill points than we did in Earth Camp. I do think they had stronger accounts overall, and they came into it with more kill points. I think also they fought better as a ball than we did. They had the tighter ball, and you can see even some of that here in this fight, where we are very fanned out around the perimeter, whereas they have one very tight ball. But in this particular fight right here, because we have flagged faster, we have much faster refresh times, and we are right on their fort. And it's really a matter here of us being aggressive. We have fast refreshes, so we can be very, very aggressive and just try to wear them down. Maybe we don't win the first engagement, but we're likely to win the second one. As this was happening, we were trying to build south and try to protect the N70F fort we did have down south. That thing was under a lot of pressure. What you want to do here is you want to flag in front of your forts. So at this point, we do have a flag in front of the HDS fort. That means that essentially the enemy has no chance of taking down our fort. It will take them about an hour to burn down one flag. And in that time, we'll have been able to get our fort up. Even if they go through one flag, we can build a back flag, and it just sort of guarantees that your fort gets built. Fire Camp was not doing that. They did not get flags up to this point fast enough, and we were on the doorstep of being able to destroy their fort. Now, one other thing that went our way is that when the KvK opened and everyone started building their original forts, I noticed that the enemy camps really weren't building very many forts. And so I asked our allies in Wind Camp, I said, do you all have any Asian kingdoms? They said, yes, we have one Asian kingdom. And so we realized that if we stopped building our forts, the enemy would not have enough forts finished to quickly complete the Chronicle stage. That delay caused the zone to open at 0:30 UTC, which is a very Asian-friendly and Euro-unfriendly start to a zone. This was a very quick decision we made that ended up working out very well for us. Now we're going to rally this fort, and let's listen to some of my shot calling as we did it. Yep, drop down. All those guys, everybody up top needs to go down. Everybody who's killing one guy up top has to go down to the fort. Yep. Fresh marches can swarm. Fresh marches can swarm this. Fill calves. Fill calves. Kill the swarmers, guys. They're swarming the rally. They're swarming the rally. Kill the swarmers. There's somebody swarming the rally right now. It's Nugget. It's Nugget. It's Nugget. Kill her. Swarm it. Swarm it. Good job. Good job. Nice job. Nice job. Nice job. So we managed to get that first fort down, and we quickly rotated north to try to take out the DX85 fort, which was an even more important fort. This was their main alliance's fort here, right at the sanctuary. At the same time, as this was happening, our own fort is under pressure. They did do a good job of building down south, and they did get to our fort. One of the issues we had here was that you know, because, well, let's take a look at this actual fight here at the other fort. We are a little bit out of position here. The rally is going to be happening at the fort to the north. A lot of us are down south trying to hold them off. And I think at this point, I'm going to start rotating my marches to the north. One of the things that I learned in this KvK and that I would like my team to work on is, you know, hitting the enemy every second of a fight is important, but I actually think the more important thing is to just be in the right place. Be in the correct position relative to where your teammates are and relative to where the enemy is, and that's going to be worth more really than just hitting whatever enemy's right in front of you. Sometimes you have to reposition. Here I do reposition to where the actual rally is taking place. We've got Aid Cavs here. This was early. You can see that it's early in the zone because Aid Cavs is messing with a Scipio BQ rally. We would tighten those things up as things go on, but you know, it's up against an Eleanor and we've got the field. So I think this Scipio BQ is going to get the job done, but certainly you want to go with rallies like Scipio Wallace, Scipio Tariq, or Scipio Pakal instead of BQ. BQ's the best infantry commander, but he leaves a lot to be desired from a rally perspective. So we were applying a lot of pressure again. We were swarming this rally, and it goes down to really kind of cap off what is an excellent start of the zone where we destroyed both of the main forts for the enemy. But look at what happens if you play good in an area. If you as an individual or as a small group play well, you are going to find success. And so down south, GP57, they did flag quickly. They protected their builders as they went along, and they're going to get a shot at this N70F fort. And, you know, because we had a fort wall going up, somebody not super active was the R5 in N70F. We didn't have an ability to like kick all the marches. You know, this was the most frustrating part of the first couple hours for me, was that I didn't have the ability to kick everyone from this fort. We would have rather saved all these troops rather than let them get swarmed with an Ethelfled garrison on some sort of farm there. And so the N70F fort went down. We did build the flag line there to protect them from flanking us. So we did a couple of good things with our building, but you know, this was the biggest win for Fire Camp in this zone. The rest of the zone would be dominated by us for about a day and a half. We had a pretty good fight, but Fire Camp made the decision that they were really just going to play defense. They weren't going to attack our positions much. They were just going to play defense, have some good garrisons, and they did force us to swarm their flags a fair bit to take this zone, and that was worth something to them, getting some of our players to drop below 100 million power because we were swarming so many flags. But we'll get to that in future videos. I do encourage people to subscribe to the channel if they want to watch the full chronological story of this Heroic Anthem KvK. There's a lot of new things in Heroic Anthem and KvK as a whole. Obviously, there's the new crystal tech that you're starting to see in action here. There are new rally commanders as well. So we're going to cover all of that in this Heroic Anthem journey. So do subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video, and until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.